So let's jump into the show. The name of the show, which I should have announced earlier, is How Wealth is Passed Through Generations. How wealth is passed through generations. I like to always break this down by saying there's two types of families in this country, but I really think it's two types of family in the world. But I'm sure there's countries where if you, whether or not of what you have, it doesn't matter because you're dealing with a dictatorship. But there's two. Let's talk about this country. There's two types of families in this country, which produces two types of individuals in this country. The first type of family is the uninformed family. The uninformed family is highly educated, or not, from straight homelessness. I would say apartment building, living in the basement type stuff, real low living, all the way up to highly educated professionals occupy the uninformed family space. From blue collar to white collar workers, these families and these individuals make up the bulk of the American population. They are highly educated in most times. Even if you would consider them to be vagabonds or unemployed or homeless, the level of the average person in America is higher than most places in the world, to tell you the truth. And I'm talking when you're looking at the United States against countries that are like not as developed, so like third world countries and stuff, because there's way more poor countries and illiterate countries than there are, wealthy countries. And if you think I'm lying, do your research. You'll be appalled. So, from the homeless, have-nots to the highly educated, highly, what would be considered sophisticated families and individuals, public school, maybe even some private school, but it's going to be a private public school if it accepts any federal funds. So you have to be in really, really wealthy neighborhoods, and those wealthy neighborhoods are not occupied by uninformed families, unfortunately. Those wealthy neighborhoods that have private schools that do not need to accept federal funds or state funds, they're not occupied by uninformed families. But public-private school, a public education from, K through college, maybe even some, a master's, possibly even, a doctorate, PhD, who knows, State educated is what I'm saying. Public educated is dealing with what is known in the field that I'm in as controlled knowledge. This is what they want you to know. They know what they want them to know. Is really what it is. They may make some money. They may have a good life. They may enjoy themselves. They may travel. They may not. Doesn't matter. Bottom line is they come from uninformed families. They are uninformed families. Each family member deals with sales tax, income tax, use tax, so on and so forth. Upon the death of each family member, there's probate tax, death tax. If necessary, there's an inheritance tax. There's possibly a generation skipping tax. There might even be a gift tax, depending on what's going on. And these uninformed families and these uninformed family members may, they may generate some wealth in their lifetimes or so. But these families, typically what you see is really going to be about 50%. Because when it comes to what I do, the main thing is it's not about how much you made, it's about how much you keep. And uninformed families and uninformed individuals do not keep very much of the money that they make. It's not about salary. It's not about how much you make a year. When you get into real wealth, it's about assets. And that could be determined and judged in multiple ways. And then you have another family or individual, which is the informed family. They understand that the system, at least the economic system, the monetary system in this country is set up to have those who are uninformed have their wealth that they acquire over their life pillaged by the state through all of these different established tax systems. As I was saying, probate tax. Some states even have death tax, inheritance tax, generation skipping tax. There's a lot of different taxes. Sales tax, use tax. But those who come from informed families understand how to pass their wealth through generations and know how to avoid wealth eroding factors that have been erected to catch yours and mine's wealth, our children's wealth, our family members' wealth, due to lack, really, of information. So you got the informed individual, you got the uninformed individual, you got the informed family, you have the uninformed family. How is wealth passed through generations? Well, number one, it's passed through structures, the proper structures. If it is done correctly, because you can pass wealth through generations, but it's going to be a small fraction or portion of the overall wealth that could have been passed through generations had the family and individuals be properly structured. So I would say the first thing I'm going to say, and this isn't like a numerical thing, like number one, what's most important, what's least important. So in any way is this list linear? But how wealth is passed through generations, one of the main ways is through trust, whether it be a family trust, a business trust, asset trust. I know the regular listeners of the foundation knew that trust was going to be in here somewhere. And of course, you're correct. But trust, these structures legally avoid death tax, probate tax, inheritance tax, generation skipping tax, gift tax. Legally avoid. Upon death, there is no probate. Why? Because the person, the individual, does not own anything. They just control it through trusteeship, but they're not the sole trustee. There's other trustees that will maintain control and execute the indenture, the contract, which is going to be established by the grantor, which, is going to express the wishes of the original or previous owner of the stuff anyways. You understand what I'm saying? The trust never dies, so there is no probate. There is no death tax. If upon death, that guy maybe he had debts, maybe he had credit card debts, maybe he had a line of personal credit or something. Creditors, alleged creditors, debt collectors cannot get access to the wealth. Why? Because it's not his. It's not mine. When I pass, it's not mine. I don't own it. I just controlled it. They say, well, we're here to collect the debts, and, we're going to take this, we're going to take this. I see this nice car. I see this property. We're going to take everything from, we're going to take it to the cleaners. Well, he didn't own any of this. I don't know how you're going to get your hands on any of this. It didn't belong to him. Don't you lie to me. It's one of the main ways, the checking account, the brokerage account, the stock account can all have, the trust didn't die. The owner of the account didn't die, which means the trust didn't die, which means it's the same account. You don't have to change the account. You have to close the account, nothing. The successor trustees just come and show their successorship, substantiate their successorship, and just take over the account. It's the same account. There's bank accounts that businesses and trusts have that are 100 years old. I would say hundreds, but maybe not. That's why you'll hear, this is a trade line from 25 years ago. There's another trade line that I can get that's 60 years old. Where do you think them things are coming from? From businesses or trusts. There could be assets in the trust, and that's how the wealth is passed. Land is another way how wealth is passed through generations. Land is money. I don't care. Wrap your head around that. Land is money. It's money, actual money. And you'd be like, well, what do you mean? Gold and silver is money. Where did the gold and silver come from? Well, it came from the earth. What is the earth? What was the ground? What is the ground made of? Well, it's made of dirt and earth and stuff like that. What's another word for the ground? Well, it's land. Land is money. There's minerals in land. You can grow stuff on land, get money. You can develop land and get money. Land is money. Gold and silver is money. Land. Through trust, and more often than not, the land is in trust. The properties are in trust. The precious metals, the gold and the silver, the emeralds, the diamonds, the pearls, they're in trust. Real estate, actual real estate, land that has improvements on top of it. Some type of fixture. A restaurant, an apartment building, a single family home, a duplex, a multi-family home, whatever. Real estate. Real estate is a large way. Real estate, land, precious metals, one you probably haven't thought of, life insurance. Life insurance policies is a large way, one of the biggest ways that wealth is passed through generations. The only thing absolutely guaranteed is death, and they say taxes, but hey, whatever. But life insurance, death. The payment paid out on death. It's incredible. Look, listen, check it out. We got about a minute, little over a minute, like 90 seconds left in the broadcast. If you're checking out the show online, you want to call in because we're going to go over. And if you don't call in, it's just going to abruptly end, and you're going to have to check out the archive episode. So if you want to finish checking out the show, call in. The call-in number is 563-999-3625. 563-999-3625. Otherwise, you will be disconnected. I hit you with that disconnection. Hit you with that. Wow. Life insurance. That's where I was at. Life insurance. Especially the types of life insurance that the wealthy use. There's a cash value. There's a death benefit. They call it a death benefit. Imagine that. Sounds oxymoronic to put the word death right next to benefit. But there's a death benefit. And typically it's multiple policies, so it's typically going to be a large amount of wealth. The wealthy don't name individual beneficiaries. They know better than that. They were taught better than that. Because individual beneficiaries may receive their payout from their life insurance policy that was, named to them, or the portion thereof, and that may be taxable income to them. Wealthy individuals know how to pass wealth through the generations using life insurance. How wealth is passed through generations. Stock and bonds, portfolios, brokerage accounts. But of course, as you would assume, these accounts will be titled to a trust. The inheritance of stocks or shares in the corporation, interest in an LLC, the inheritance of a brokerage account, treasury bonds, things of that nature. Don't quote me on this because I'm not a legal advisor or legal attorney. I don't give legal advice. But I'm pretty sure, these transfers are subject to some sort of tax. But once again, the trust never dies. So if the trust holds stocks and bonds and portfolios through brokerage accounts or what have you, that wealth remains intact when the individual passes, when the individual dies. When the individuals die, these things stay intact. Now, of course, there are things that are set up in any estate that is going to be wound down or up, however you look at it, upon the death of an individual. There's certain things that, maybe were only interest to that individual. The other trustees were not really interested in that, so we're gonna wind that up. But more often than not, things of wealth, brokerage accounts, things of that nature, precious metals, real estate, this stuff's gonna be in trust. It's gonna be in trust. Trust never dies. You have co-trustees, you have successor trustees. The board of trustees stays in control. It stays intact. There's no separation. Oh, you don't have to sell this stock or transfer this stock to this person, which means, there's a transfer fee. None of that happens when you're dealing with informed families and informed individuals. Another way wealth is passed through generations, of course, cash. Of course. Is that going to be the bulk of the way, or the majority of the means by which wealth is passed through generations? Absolutely not. I'm sure it is definitely a means. It's one of the last things. That's why it's last on the list. And I put trust as, first on the list, of course, before land, real estate. Of course, you need the structures. You need the proper structure, especially in this system. If you want to pass wealth through your generations, you need a proper structure. That's what the wealthy in this country, this generational wealthy in this country, have in common. They all use the same or similar structures to do what they do. Period. I don't care if you're talking about real estate moguls, if you're talking about super, ultra wealthy entertainers, you're talking about ultra wealthy architects. I don't care who you're talking about. Diplomats, you're talking about politicians. Those who are wealthy, those who are come from generational wealth, they understand this and they know this stuff. And the glue that holds all this together is the trust. It's the trust. Whether it's a family trust, a business trust, an asset trust, a combination of the three. That's the glue that holds all this together. When you're talking about passing wealth through generations, you need to have all the pieces. You need to have the land, the real estate. You need to have the precious metals, the life insurance. You need to have the family business, the stock, the bond, the portfolios, the brokerage accounts. You even need to have cash. But to hold that all together, the correct glue is going to be the trust structures. Bonus, if the family has a structured private family foundation. With these types of entities, trusts, and foundations, you got private placement accounts, endowments. This is how they set their wealth in perpetuity, through endowments, through private placement accounts. After they're gone, there's still that income that they set up is still coming to their family. And there are ways to do this. And this is the things that my family does. And this is the thing that I teach people to do in Trust You training. Of course, you got to get your feet under you. You got to understand what you're doing. You got to know what questions to ask, because it takes a while to formulate the proper question. When you're learning something new, when you're learning how to live in a completely different lifestyle almost, it takes some time. You got to get your feet under you. But once you get your feet under you, it's pretty simple. It's not rocket science. I'm going to tell you that. It's not rocket science. Learning a new language is not rocket science. It's not. It's difficult. It takes time. It takes consistency. It takes dedication. But it's not rocket science. It's not limited to a few individuals who possess extraordinary amounts of intelligence. No, it's not. It's only going to be available to those who are consistent, who are dedicated, and keep coming back and do the actual work. Those are the people who learn a new language. That's the same thing with learning how to administer private trusts properly. It's not rocket science, but it does take that consistency and dedication, and you coming back consistently over time to ingest, chew, ingest, and absorb the information so that you can put it into play. But the number one way that wealth is passed through generations, the number one, can you guess? Number one way wealth is passed through generation. Are you screaming right now at the air, saying your answer? I know what it is, so you lucky you ain't. I should have called in. I know what it is. I know he lucky this is an archive. Otherwise, I'd have pressed 1. You know what it is? You know what I'm going to say. Number one way and means by which wealth is passed through generations, it's knowledge. The know-how, the knowledge, the training, the books, the experience, etc. Number one way wealth is passed through generations. You can have all the structures. You can have the most gorgeous Ferrari F50 sitting in your driveway. If you don't know how to drive, it does nothing for you. If it's a manual transmission and you know how to drive, but you don't know how to drive the stick, it does nothing for you. Nothing at all. You can have a Formula One race car and the Formula One race team sitting in your garage, in your driveway. But if you don't know how to drive, you'll never win a championship. You'll never win a race. You'll probably never drive this thing down the road. And that's the thing. When we're talking about how wealth is passed through generations, you can have money. If you don't have the knowledge, it's gone. You can have land if you don't have the knowledge, it's gone. You can have a trust if you don't have the knowledge, it's gone. You can have precious metals, gold and silver. If you don't have the knowledge, they're gone. You can have life insurance. If you don't have the knowledge, upon your death, there's going to be a disbursement. The money's going to be gone in what, maybe 2 years? What's your bet without the proper structure? You can have stock, bond portfolios, brokerage accounts. Don't matter. Without the knowledge, gone. If without the knowledge, you probably didn't even get in the first place. You can have cash. Up and down Tornado Alley. But if you don't have knowledge, someone gave it to you or you found it or you stole it, and it's not going to last. And you're definitely not passing it through generations. Generations, and S, plural. But that's just hands down. And people be like, oh, I don't make that much money, so I can't really make that much of a difference. You could start an endowment in most places for $10,000. It pays interest on that endowment for life of the endowment, which is going to last longer than your life. It don't matter if it's $1,000 a year. You start with $1,000 a year. You start with $400 a year. Start with $200 a year. I need to set up these specific vehicles with these trusts. So I can create the situation to where I don't have to do anything and a $400 check is sent to the trust every single year. Start with that. Start with $100. Start with $200, $400. Don't have to do nothing. Get it to 1,000, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. You can do that in your lifetime. If you know what to do, you can do it. If you know what to do, you can do it. If you don't know what to do, you can't do it. But if you know what to do, you can do it. I know this. You know this. If you know what to do, you can do it. Period. Whether you do it or not is up to you. But if you know what to do, you can do it. You will have the ability to do it. Barring unforeseen circumstances, like, well, I know how to throw the ball, but I ain't got no hands. All right, man, you're fine. You made your point. Damn. But it's all about the knowledge. Number one way wealth is passed through the generations. You pass the wealth along with the knowledge, along with the culture, the family principles, the family guidelines, the family wealth, the family knowledge. Otherwise, what was it for? Huh? What was it for? If not for family, then what? 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 So there it is. How wealth is passed through generations. How? I just told you. Just want you to know, spoiler alert, even though it's the end of the show. So, not spoiler alert. Is heavily predicated upon your knowledge and utilizing the proper structures that avoid taxation legally, including probate tax, generation skipping tax, inheritance tax, death tax, all these different types of taxes that were implemented in this system to take away you and your family's wealth. It's a considerable difference between an individual filing a 1040 and a properly structured contract entity filing a 1041. Considerable difference. And the wealthy in this country, they knew exactly what was going on when the IRS was passing these laws. But, in the age of information, what information will you acquire? Will. What you acquire is according to your will. What will you acquire in this age of information? What information will you acquire? And what will you sacrifice to obtain said information? I'd be interested to know. But what is it about for you? Is it about finagling? I almost said finagling, flossing, and fornicating? Nah. Or is it about family? The future? It's up to you. You know? Email me, admin@welcometothefoundation.com, if you are in the group that considers the latter to be important. Please check out welcometothefoundation.com. At the very least, just sign up for the email list. I don't really ask much of y'all. I really don't. But I do, I do appreciate when y'all sign up for the email list. I appreciate everything y'all do. So, just because things may take a long time or the road may seem long doesn't mean that we don't try, that we don't do. It's because you got to walk 4 miles to get what you want. Does that mean you don't go get what you want because of the obstacle that you perceive to be in your path of having to walk 4 miles? It's all about what you're willing to sacrifice to get the things that you want. Water finds a level. The universe abhors a vacuum. You have to let something go in order to gain something. You have to open your hand and let go of what you already have in order to grab something else. Think of the monkey bars. How do you move forward if you're holding on to the same monkey bar? I know you feel stable. The ground looks far away. This monkey bar is here in my hand, but reach towards the next one so that you can get to the end. That's the same with possessions. It's one of the most amazing things that I see that people will not put down. Something that they perceive to be valuable just for a millisecond to pick up something that is more valuable. Like it's going to fly away. As soon as you put it down, I'm out. It flew out the window as soon as you put it down. Now you have nothing valuable. There's so much fear that we deal with. What am I saying? So, what are you saying? Bottom line, you can change your life. It's not too late. You're not too old. You're not too fat. You're not too sleepy. You're not too dopey. You're not too slow. You're not too anything. You're not too tired. You're not too overworked. You're not too anything to do the things that will effectively change your life for the better. There's no excuse really when it comes down to it. There may be a reason, and that reason may or may not be valid, but there is no excuse. So I want you to think about that. I really do. I want you to think about that. You may have a reason, but do you have an excuse? Does your reason excuse your lack of movement, your lack of follow-through, your lack of faith, your lack of taking that first step or that second step or that 50th step? Or is your lack of faith or belief in yourself the reason why you tell yourself, man, this is the 59th time I've been knocked down. I'm not going to get back up. Get back up. Because as long as you get up more than the next one, you win. As long as you show up more than the next one, you win. As long as you study harder than the next one, you win. And how do you win? You win when you put yourself and your family and those that you care about in a position for them to win, in a position for you to win. But first, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, am I winning? And if you say yes, then cool. Congratulations on your winning. But if the honest answer is no, you have to do something about that. And that might not be hitting up admin at welcome to the foundation.com and saying, "So, I'm ready for trustee training." It may be something different. Either way, do your dance. Do your dance. Because one day, the music will stop. And the world will continue to turn. And it will be about what you did or what you didn't do. It's about what you accomplished or what you could have accomplished. It's all within your control. So with that being said, I trust y'all enjoyed the show. I trust that you were able to gain some sort of knowledge, insight, inspiration, information, whatever, what have you. But that is the reason why I do this show. Yeah, I'll make sure you check out www. Who says that anymore? Does anybody put the 3 W's in front of a web address anymore? Huh? Because I don't, and I don't know why I just did that. But welcome to the foundation.com. Sign up for the email list at the very least. Otherwise, support your boy, Yeah, offerings. Book a consultation. It's effectively, worth it. I think it's, it's worth the value. It's an hour, I don't be tripping on the hour. People are like, I know we're coming up on the hour, and I tell everybody, like, I'm not really worried about it. It's cool. Unless you're being, like, really, really weird. And I'm like, hey, man, we're coming up on that hour, man, so, but overall, you can book a consultation. Grab the Foundation Trust Primer. I say everyone should grab the primer. That's just me. And I say everyone should grab the Foundation Trust Series Part 1. Just one. Just Part 1 is kind of like, a trilogy or something. You see the first movie. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch Part 2 or Part 3. Why would you? You ain't like Part 1. What makes you think Part 2, Part 3 finna be the jump off? I get it. I get it 100%. But if you ask me, like, so, if it was up to you and you could make everybody get 2 things from welcome to the foundation.com, what would it be? I would unequivocally say Foundation Trust Primer, Foundation Trust Series Part 1. It'd be those 2. Hands down. But that's just me. But I'm not taking any calls, y'all. I see y'all in the queue. You got your hands up. I love you. No disrespect. No offense. I got to move and shake. You know what I'm saying? I got to get little. I got to go midget. I got to, you know what I'm saying? Hey. Feel me? I got to do the dance. So, I love you. But no calls this time. But as I was saying, how wealth is passed through generations. Of course, you can critique, compare, and contrast, this list. Of course, it's not exhaustive. There could be things added. But overall, this is my take on it. Heavily predicated upon trust. I know I'm so weird. But I trust that you picked up something that I put down, and that overall that you received the value. And, I trust that you will have a wonderful, glorious week, that you will enjoy yourself, you will take care of yourself, because that's the most important. I do this for y'all. I want to see you succeed. I'm invested in your success. Absolutely invested in your success. 100%. And I'm not just saying it. All about building. So Hit me up, email me, admin at welcometothefoundation.com. Check out welcometothefoundation.com. You know, free learn plus offerings. I think it's a wonderful place to be. Just, you know, go to the website, just chill, put on your favorite playlist, grab a PDF and some tea or coffee, you know, whatever your dance is. Could be a Red Bull, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? What else? Coconut water? Might be some coconut water, distilled water. I hear you. Yeah, you got Aquafina in the back. Ain't nobody messing with Aquafina. I'm just playing. But yeah, man, I trust y'all had a great week. I mean, I trust you will have a great week. Excuse me. And yeah, look forward to the next one. Appreciate y'all. You know, welcome to thefoundation.com. Sign up for the email list. But as I say always, y'all take care of yourself. You enjoy yourself. Make sure you say 10 things that you're thankful for before you go to sleep tonight and every night, as it is very important. And I'll catch y'all next week. Same network, the hottest radio network on the planet, High Frequency Radio Network. Same date, Wednesday, same time, same exact time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 6 Mountain, 5 Pacific. I'm your host, So L, that's Seeker of Truth L, Speaker of Truth L. It is my pleasure to bring you the foundation here on High Frequency Radio Network every Wednesday, right in your face, player. Enjoy yourself, y'all. I love y'all. Have a great night. Peace to the guys.
We're gonna sing all the way live. High Frequency Radio.